Dash and Raz, and one final chance to see if Silas will be shackled in this champion select or if he will run rampant, and instead a different chain wielder will be dropped off the face of the rift. So we are here for the fifth game of the day. Flash Wolves 1 and 2, their sole win against Fongbu Buffalo. G2 Esports looking like a top-tier team in this tournament, hoping to take care of business against Flash Wolves here.
And it looks like they're going with the Rise. With Akali and Silas both still available, what will G2 opt into? They could actually get both of these flexible picks.
Definitely the Silas will be locked in very quickly. I want to make note that this was Rise left open in a game with G2. I believe they're the best Rise team in the world, both creative with the ultimate and also it being absolute comfort for Wonder and Cap. So I think you have to take it first pick, even though it hasn't been rated first pick in many drafts.
We're waiting to see now what's going to come out alongside this one. Typically, teams will wait a very long time to show their second solo lanes. That Wonder and Caps both have equal opportunity to play it. A quick Jarvan pickup here now for Flash Wolves. Force some aggressive plays, force some engage. We're going to probably look at follow-up team fight then out of this squad.
Yeah, and if you're facing the team fight, they already have the Tahm Kench on the side of G2, so there are a lot of options with the Abyssal Voyage moving around the map for later. Let's see if Flash Wolves answer it with a little bit of semi-global themselves.
Yeah, and more follow-up team fight, right? Jarvan Gallia, we've seen this so much over the last year and a half or so. This is the bog standard. Let's dive into backline, lock the mid-cage, follow up with the knock-up into the taunt, and try to kill some backliners.
And it's a duo of picks, but it's not a bot lane duo, and they'll have to absorb some bot lane AD carry bans, you would imagine. G2, when they last picked the Tahm Kench, they ended up pivoting, going towards something a bit different in the bot lane. That was the Nico on the day. This time it's going to be the Ezreal, so a much more standard duo one we just saw in our previous series, and we'll see how many bot lane carries we've taken out. Betty's famous Kalista first on the menu.
Yeah, as SKT put on display in the last game, the Tahm Kench and Ezreal required 0 jungle attention the entire game. Extremely safe, and that allows you to put so much into these solo lanes that have been so strong for G2 in setting up multiple roams and setting up their control of the map towards the mid game.
Well, a couple of junglers who might be taking up some of that help and getting the solo laners ahead, taken off the table here. Olaf dropped off. We know that there's still one more top or mid to grab for Flash Wolves, one more for G2 as well, and Flash Wolves can finally answer a little bit when that finally comes through as you see a couple of marksman bans, of course, Kai'Sa and Kalista off the table. Now waiting what the final Flash Wolves ban will be. What G2 will pick up afterwards is Karthus dropped off as the Yankos pick.
And with that comment you made about the Ezreal Tahm Kench not needing resources, Flash Wolves intuited, okay, maybe the Karthus will just farm rather than just going for a topside jungler. Like, for example, the Lee Sin. The Lee Sin, though, will be the eventual lock-in, so hard to say what the first call would have been. There is always concerns with Karthus that you end up with 3 laners or a jungler and 2 solo laners that do magic damage, so this is actually pretty clean, and we get an oldie but a goodie, the Yankos Lee Sin.
Meanwhile, Flash Wolves looking like they want to add some more team fight to the composition here. Orianna Ball on top of the Jarvan jump-in with the Galio on his back. Now that is a huge wombo combo.
I believe this looks like something like a team fight comp seems to be what you want to do
Oh,
here.
really?
Sivir might line up well alongside that one, but we'll see what actually comes through here with this one. Flash Wolves, 8 seconds to go. Coach Sweet is going to decide that Lucian is the grab here, and an aggressive bottom lane is going to be what they want.
I want something that in the 2v2, you catch the right person, maybe you can force a kill. Sivir would have been purely on the farming side.
Yeah.
Now the answer is, with a lot of options here, because you could lane the Silas in either mid or top, given that you have full information, where the matchups there can definitely grin and bear through the Orianna trade damage in the mid. The Nico, which we know is oh so flexible on the G2 side, will be the final lock-in.
All right, I'm still not sure exactly, based on the matchup, of course, what they think is better, but Nico and Silas going to be the 2 solo laners here. Ezreal, I think, 99.9% is going to be what Perkz plays here on this one, and we'll see who they want to fight up against better. Rise top, Orianna mid, and looks like it's Nico to battle the Rise and Silas to battle Orianna.
It's a matchup I've watched a couple of times in the LCK. It's one where, just like a Gnar, you want to try to take down the Rise. I think you have to go aggressive on Rise to make this matchup work, because we're expecting on-hit build coming in from Water. You can go AP to try to push, but on hit is the one that really kind of sticks the landing over the course of the early to mid-game transition. So very interested to see once we hit the game, the rune choice coming through from Hanabi.
And that 2v2 on the top side can definitely go the way of the Jarvan and Ryze. Rune Prison into Jarvan knockup could turn that entire game plan right back around on them. So tracking the enemy junglers is going to be of the utmost importance in this game.
And as long as you land the Rune Prison, even if she does turn invisible, the knockup's still going to come afterwards.
It's
all skill
over.
shots anyway almost certainly will die as a result. So this could be very spicy. We might see that top lane pressure like we just saw in the previous game. Flash Wolves on the back foot here, yet they have never, ever missed the top four at MSI across all the years they have gone. This would be the first they missed, looking to pick up a win against G2, who has been impressive so far, has been a great pride of Europe here at this tournament, and Mickey X seems to be able to keep playing with the roster. Let's see him get in the game. We are on to the Rift here for game number 5. Flash Wolves at 1 and 2, G2 at 2 and 1, but they have only lost to what looks like the strongest team in the tournament in Invictus Gaming. And it's a double round robin. Lots of games still here to play. No one should be disappointed with the first 3 or 4 games results. There is lots to still do and prove and improve upon.
G2 certainly looking fearsome so far in this tournament, and Caps on Sylas was just on display earlier today versus Team Liquid. With a little bit of attention from Jankos, he was able to demolish the team later on.
And G2 have a comp that would really fit them, even if it was the same G2 lineup at Worlds 2018. This is the quintessential 1-3-1 comp coming from G2, wanting to attack those side lanes as the game goes on. And the moment you see Galio, Jarvan, and Orianna, like Freak so simply put, it's a teamfight comp through and through on the side of Flash Wolf.
Yeah, like you're saying though, G2 drafting so many answers for that type of composition. Perks on Ezreal with Mickey X on Tom Kench here with the Abyssal Voyage being able to lend more threat to a 1-3-1 style of play. And then Jankos having the kickback here on Lee Sin is a huge disengage.
Look at the little thing that happened right there as Rather walked down to the ward that was revealed to leech experience for that ward kill. This tells me normally in a solo lane, you have to kill the entire first wave plus something else to get level 2. Instead, if you share an award XP, it's just the first wave. We knew Caps got XP himself on a single ward, so it's going to be level 2 a bit early. It shouldn't mean too much because they'll get the same XP.
Caps went down for a late ward also to try to help Jankos with his jungle pathing, so a lot of different agencies going on. There is that level 2 already, as you mentioned, Freak. In the bot lane, right now, Perks and Mickey happy to give up the push to Flash.
Just getting some farm under the turret as Perks stacks up his mana flow band, and we wait to see what else comes in here. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised by just how well Mickey X and Perks are playing. They've gotten 2 or 3 duo kills in lane just across this tournament. They have been actually dominant as a duo, I would say, overall, and we knew they were good, but to actually step up so well has been impressive.
All right, we said we were going to track these junglers early on, and Boogie on the Jarvan has gone red buff straight to top side. If you get that Rune Prison knock-up!
Rune Prison and a knock-up, and the clone goes the other direction. Not a way out for Wander, and an early first blood at 2 minutes and 30 for Boogie.
Exactly.
That was spotted on the ward there, Kobe. That was the big moment. The deep ward put down by Caps at level 1 didn't spot him, but now Jankos is lying in wait.
Has more mana, can do some damage right here. Boogie gonna try to flag and drag over the wall, followed up by the Q, and Caps might come in for a little bit more as well. Look at that health bar, slowly flags in, gets the Kingslayer and the shield, and gets right back out. What a great trade kill.
Yeah, that's also red buff now on Caps for Sylas, also going to help him heal back up when he backs away. This is so big for G2. They took a very, very terrible opening to the game in their Nico getting destroyed here. As we talked about in Champion Select, as long as you have the point-and-click Rune Prison, it makes Jarvan's job so easy. You guarantee that combo. They get the early kill, the minion wave still pushing in his favor, but Jankos doesn't let it sit at that. Lies in wait at the Scuttle Crab. He sets up the kill for Caps, and once again, this is Caps Sylas with early money.
And what I want the viewers to appreciate is not just the early money being centered onto the oh-so-scary Sylas from Caps. think about what was gained in those ganks. A kill topside, first blood gold, but no flash is used by Wonder, but then the red buff coming in, the good back timing coming in for the Silas as well. The bonus objectives go the way of G2.
We can definitely talk up what Flash Wolves got out of it in that early tier for Rise. Hanabi is the guy that they want early money onto, right? To back up your point, Hanabi has been one that has gotten more resources and more of Flash Wolves focus since the changes to this team. So he's the one that they should be focusing on, and Rise can be an answer in that side lane, even if they have to deal with it. But it looks like jungle attention again.
They've got a minor root. The Q's going to land plenty of damage here. The root prison in the shield, though. Forced the flash shot, but Wonder has the auto attack, and Jankos finds his second successful gank.
Every time we come up with a story here for Flash Wolves, Jankos answers it again. The Lee Sin is on fire, extremely active in the early game and helping out those solos as expected.
Usually it's the Midas touch, sometimes the Midas foot coming through from this Lee Sin. Jankos, everything he's touching is turning to gold. Not quite the first blood king this time, but he is the king of the jungle.
Honestly, yeah, that's the more ideal situation. Him setting up the kills for his solo laners and them catching in. We get a nice little freeze frame there of reenactment of Jankos chasing down Jarvan.
The moment right before the Doom, flag and dug over the wall into the Q follow, and we all saw that one play out. So look at this, G2, 800 gold ahead, and I think even fortunate that the kills were given over.
2019 MSI colorized here. Jankos carnivorous jungler.
Great minds think alike. I was going right there as well, Kobe. Loving it. Jankos loving his life. He had a really kind of bubbly interview with Shox earlier in the broadcast. He's definitely feeling it, and he can be a confidence player right now, sky high.
Once again, 500 gold lead for G2 Esports, and you're seeing the Wits End being rushed very early. Wonder has the components right now already. It's going to be even harder to be knocked down by this Rise, as he's got the durability to handle most of this one. Tries for the root, not going to get that one just yet. And overall, the favorites now looking very good in this tournament.
It should be noted that Wonder has much more build path flexibility than the Rise, who needs to build his tiers and work into the Seraph's Embrace, and from there, because of that, Wonder can attack both solo lanes by building a Wit's End and stacking up that magic resist, and the on-hit damage at some point will be enough to force Rise under a turret into early recalls to try to contest with the Nico in the side lane, and if enough gold goes onto Silas, who we should note has gone Conqueror for extended brawls, then he may be able to answer the Rise, usually impervious in the side lane.
Yep, here we go. They're going to focus on the top side. Caps is level 6 on the Silas, but Jankos sits on a ward, so Flash Wolves know that this is coming.
Hanabi coming right back in as he sees the Lee Sin drop off the ward, but yeah, pretty trademark G2 play right there. Caps getting the push, roaming up the top side, trying to find one of his lanes to put ahead. So frequently it has been Wonder. Think back to the win over SKT. It was all the pressure they gave Wonder's Jace. Similar ranged auto attacker they're putting pressure on right now, and his lane going very well at 50 to 36 CS.
And we just saw what is, to me, one of the funnier ults that Silas can steal is whenever you get the Orianna ultimate, you can go do a sombrero ult, but you don't get to move it around much, so it's mostly for those all-ins trying to get the extra pull back there.
And I want people to note there was actually really nothing purchased on the back. It was a forced back on the Orianna, who usually wants to wait to 6 minutes, teleport back in, and then lane again till that TP is back up. Nothing doing there, and no interrupt awkwardly on that back.
I'll talk a bit late. I don't know if Boogie wanted to burn any of his E or Q cooldowns in case the trade came back and is without an escape, so tried to auto attack, couldn't quite get it there. At least not in time to get through the recall immunity, and whatever, no harm, no foul, but it's 1,500 gold putting G2 ahead as they've gotten farm in a lot of places right now, and now round 2 in the bottom lane as Betty takes a couple of shots. Perks and Co still doing pretty well in this lane, up against Illusion, up in farm.
Meanwhile, keeping track of these junglers, Jankos is actually now making his way down to the bottom side. He is level 6 with access to the Dragon Kick, and he continues going for these invades on the Flash Wolves. Red buff started up by himself, and Boogie's going to trade.
Opting into the trade, like you mentioned, a level under, no completed Cinderhulk. Both teams had vision around the area. Jankos had the deep vision, but not, of course, spotting the ward that saw him come in. So it is full information to Flash Wolves, and I agree with their dissemination, given that Jankos is so large already.
He's got enough of the Warhammer right now, gonna go for the quick Mountain Drake. 8 minutes and change in. This will be helpful in the mid to late game, and gonna plow down some turrets as well. It's gonna take a while. Mountain Drake is the tankiest, but looks like there's gonna be no contest, and eventually that will go over cleanly. Rather grabs the blue. So far, everything looks fine.
I do really enjoy watching, successful uses of champions like Lee Sin in the early game, because You know, a lot of the power of the champion in actual just straight up 1v1 dueling was taken out, and so much of it is about the information and the mobility that you have, the choices that you make with it. You know, these advantages that he's gotten for the team have been with smart choices. You know, setting up the rush gank there by the Scuttle Crab, you know, to get the first kill for Caps, and then returning to the top side with the extra dash to set up Wonder as well.
And I love that point, Ko, because when it comes to ranking junglers in tier lists, it's always Lee Sin kind of around an A and B tier, but there's always that bracket or that asterisk of if you're a Lee Sin main, suddenly it jumps up, because what the champion can be is all-encompassing, but in those Lee Sin losses, you kind of pigeonhole on what it isn't.
That's why so many people love the champion. It has a very high skill cap and allows for a lot of flexibility.
Definitely flexible, and Yanko's already found himself 2 kills for the squad and given them over to his solo lanes. Caps and Wonder have been, I would say, the big carries for G2, the ones most standing out for the squad. A lot of good players on that roster, so they're able to keep pushing forward, and the goal just keeps growing. Like, without any of their kills or turrets falling, it's now 2,000 almost, putting G2 ahead. They continue to excel in these lanes, finding plates and finding CS leads.
And that's exactly what you want when you're running a 1-3-1 composition like this. You want to get the early lead so you can pressure the towers and continue to spread the map. But let's remember what Flash Wolves are keeping in mind. Their big combination of ultimates. Now Galio's level 6, so they can actually try and bring the synergies of their champions together. That's what we need to see from this team if they're going to pull a win.
This is a bit of a cheeky start of the Rift Tower on the top side, basically off spawn. There's already been a lane swap, and Perks is in the top lane. Sorry, just the impersonation there. The Nico's there. That was a very easy one.
Gotcha!
There's been no rotational power here, but Jankos will not want to give up the Rift Tower, given it's around a strong side for G2.
And indeed, they're going to push Boogie off that right away. Puts a control ward down. They're going to fight 2-on-2 with the vision, but Flash Wolf's going to get the better of that. Stun comes in, though. Caps wants his fight. Does have the dunk, comes in. Shockwave to follow up, though. And the 2-on-2 continues. Health course quite low, though. Caps running out of health, and they have the damage. He flashes, but he's the wrong way on the map. And he's going to drop down as well. The knock's going to land a double kill in for Rather. That fight goes to Flash Wolves.
Caps punished so heavily for his hubris there, but Perks and Mickey X are trying to answer. Here comes Shousey.
Oh, and he stuns himself onto the wall, gets a talk, gets a bit of health, and he's going to go right into that one. And Roam warp to safety. Nice play by Hanabi getting over to the wall and getting that edge onto his teammate.
So many times these aggressive plays, when they don't work out, you look so foolish. Caps is the one that starts this play out. 1v2, Jankos is there a little bit behind, and a couple seconds later means that they actually lose the initial duel.
And to me, he was playing to his keystone. Remember, he's a conqueror. Silas coming in, so he thinks he can, in an extended brawl, out-sustain and use all of his abilities, but the cooldowns are still relevant, and as it goes on, he's focused down.
Biggest thing there, you mentioned focus, is the lack of focus from G2. They were on both separate targets there. Jankos kicking Jarvan out the back while Caps staying on the Orianna, and if you split DPS in a 2v2, then the team that focuses is going to get the first kill, you're going to get the triumph heal, and you're going to get the win.
Exactly. Both Flash Wolves player at 15% by the time the first kill came through. That's on one target. It's for sure one dead, and as you mentioned, the heal, I think it would have gone differently. So, mechanical, slight misstep there, but it means Flash Wolves are answering back. They bring the gold to within 1,000. They get those kills on the Rather. It means he starts to answer pretty well in the matchup, up 30 gold individually over Caps, so finally a place to move in that mid lane.
I'm actually liking the spellbook that we're seeing so much more on all these different mages, by the way, in mid lane. It's a small thing that you mentioned there with, you know, heals and being able to switch these spells around, but in clutch fights, it has been a determining factor that has really grown on me over the course of this tournament.
And another swap that came about because of the earlier access to back timers and hitting the map because they didn't get any deaths, they picked up the kills on the side of Flash Wolves, was they were the ones set up the lanes to get the Rift Herald. So the Rift Herald was actually gained purely from winning that 2v2 around the top side.
There's still a minute to go to drop that Herald somewhere useful and give another donation of 300 or so gold via plates to one of those other players. It's going to be summoned into that mid lane right now. He shouldn't be spotted, and there will not be CC putting him down. So rather, feeling comfortable with the jungler behind him, could get some gold in mid lane.
Yeah, it looks like Jankos is lying in wait around the fog of war here, but they usher Shelly up to the turret long enough to get the charge off and cash in.
And of course, it was an uninjured turret, so actually only one plate went down. The next one very low on health, but not dropped just yet. Meanwhile, G2's duo, they've been looking good so far, 15 CS up and getting a lot of pressure in this top side, knocking one down themselves. Betty, that half HP, killing, not going to do a whole lot. Trades ults, gets away from Ezreal, stays alive there.
Yeah, Perk's giving as good as he got in this one, and if Betty did not sidestep that ultimate, then it would have been Jankos also looking to collapse on the play. So many wards, though, have been placed on the top side since there was a lot of this early action, and Flash Wolves are stabilizing here. Everyone needs to keep in mind the impact that you can have when you bring these ultimates together. There is a first item completion, Ludens on Rather on the Orianna, and now it's a level 2 ultimate. Currently, though, we got the Cloud Drake.
The fake Lee Sin, I like it.
Cloud Drake started up here, and nobody's going to go in try and contest it.
Easy smite over the wall he goes, and that's, I would argue, an overall better Drake for League of Legends. And the move speed is especially really useful when you are playing different compositions. The 1-3-1 wants to get the side lane, then back. The 5-on-5 needs to just clear the wave and then rejoin the team, and doing that 9% faster with the extra move speed out of combat definitely can be meaningful here. And so, as the wards get cleared back and forth, we can wait to see when those compositions and their relative sort of power spikes come online.
And as we come into 15 minutes, kind of the awesome thing we've been granted watching on in this particular game is we get to see an examination of the point that's been brought up a couple of times about G2 this tournament. Yes, they can explode teams in the early game, but it's their understanding of how to play these 1-3-1 comps there and understanding how to play the mid to late game that set them apart from some of the other teams, especially in Europe, compared to Flash Wolves, whose bread and butter is the team fight. So both teams are playing comps that they know and love. G2, they don't have an immense gold lead to trade upon in this game. Their execution is what we'll be able to judge in kind of a scientific manner.
Team fight execution going to be the name of the game here for Flash Wolves, and one of the big stories coming in was the fact that, well, hold on, we have a potential fight here. Over the wall they go, and they are going to be looking for the battle, looking for the taunt, and he's going to flash, but only find the one who cleanses out right away. Mickey X, though, still running and not going to get caught out for much more, so great escape there. G2 lose only a cleanse.
Yeah, and that is in exchange for a flash, so that's heavily in favor of G2. No flash on the Galio removes a lot of that surprise factor and the big part of their AoE. Meanwhile, down bottom side, the cost is Wonder on the completed Wits End Nico taking down the turret.
And that's going to be music to the ears of G2 fans. Every time they hear Meanwhile at the ranch, they know they're going to be getting advanced around the map. But in the mid lane,
stun, Shotgun comes in, but a kick onto the side, has barrier, though, keeps himself alive. There's a dunk flash away by Cat's going to stay alive, and comes Galio, knocking only the minions down, and picks up an ult for the Jarvan himself. They're going to still trade blows back and forth in this mid lane, but everyone healthy on the sides of both halves.
Keeping track of those teleports is critical. That was Betty and Hanabi both using theirs, as well as Wonder on the side of G2. So it's only the mid laners that are left, and then taking into account the ultimates of Galio and Tom Kench.
6 TPs and 2 semi-global ultimates. There's a lot of TPs.
It's a long list.
You're going to have to do a lot of bookkeeping here, whichever team you're on.
And who can be aware and keep track of that, especially when the teams want different things, going to be important. Jankos trading blows with Boogie, but not going to follow through much longer. Earlier we talked about teamfight execution being important. One of the things for Flash Wolves is they lost so many of their longtime players, and it's now a mixed language team. You've got Rather coming over just recently, still actually on loan, technically a part of Griffin to a certain degree, and Boogie, a Korean player himself who spent 2 splits in Japan, now 2 splits over in the LMS. Okay, he's more used to playing mixed language teams, but they're still not natives, and it is always a little bit harder to make those comms work.
And Boogie definitely is the point man that has to start off the Flash Wolves win condition. The full tank Jarvan jumping in, Cataclysm with the Orianna ball, with the Galio. That's how they want to bring this all together. So their coordination and their communication, with one of these newer players is going to be critical in their success.
And now another fight in the bottom side, but look how much more damage Wonder has. Pops the Seraph's shield as well.
Yeah, and because he has got the Wits End and the access to the healing, below 50%, even when he gets that low, there's still a lot of safety in it.
And that's what we were alluding to, though. Given the builds that Rise is kind of on a bound to, when you hit item points like this, and Wonder doesn't even have a boots item, let alone free boots. He has 2 full-on offensive items. There's just no way for Hanabi to stand his ground against Wonder at 18 minutes. And while that affects the health bars in a 1v1, it also affects the map state around it, because both teams are clear on this reality.
Too happy to keep playing these side lanes and getting their incremental advantages in each one of these spots as the duo lane comes down to the mid side. It's going to be a quick recall out of the Orianna here, as Rather's going to have to answer one of these pretty soon. As Top's about to be pressured out by Caps. He's got plenty of wave clear himself. Mickey X up to half HP, has to come away.
Remember, there's no teleport on Caps right now, so Flash Wolves technically do have the one extra answer with Rather on the Orianna, and they're sending Rather up topside to deal with that minion wave that Caps just pushed in. So right now in this small window where they're getting the recall off, they do have to be careful about that forced initiation.
But the setup right now is so precise, and it needs to be from Flashwolves. With the comp they have, where they say, we win in group team fights, they only happen around an objective G2 has to fight around. Now, Infernal falls upon that purview. They want to invade this Infernal deck as fast as possible, push out one wave, draw up the Orianna, and make G2 come to them.
And Orianna needs to channel the teleport early if the fight's going to happen. Lee Sin goes in.
Great E by Shousey. Gets out of the road, and Jankos can only kick him backwards. That was well played. Stays alive here. A Lee Sin ult down. Here's the TP. As G2 have already come down to fight for this one. Infernal Drake getting lower, though. Smite fight comes in. What a pickup for Boogie. That's a great steal. And now this could be a 5-on-5. Where does G2 stand? Where does a shockwave go? Nice true shot round gets Betty low. Anyways, Zonia's for Boogie, stays alive. Realm Warp, will it reach him? Doesn't necessarily need it, but does get away. That was clean on all fronts. Flash Wolves come out ahead.
We had eyes on Boogie, one of the newer guys on the team, and he comes up huge, stealing the Infernal Drake and getting out after the stopwatch.
And that means the team fight never happens, and they get an advantage, which should almost never happen. In games like this, the map state on anything other than 5v5 should suit the team that has the beneficial side laners who are pushing up. So getting that steal and getting out clean means that it wasn't even about teamfight execution. It was just a smite button that went the way of Boog.
Very nice stuff, though, and you can see 1-1 and 2, a pretty solid scoreline there. We get the slow motion version right over the wall, 400 health on that one.
That's just barely in range as well.
Yeah.
Smite range only slightly longer than that. Really, really clean stuff from Boogie, but also a little bit of luck in all of those.
But you need a bit of luck. You need a bit of luck sometimes, and you know, Kobe and I were talking about how their setup was a bit late. We never saw that early TP from the Orianna to group. They hadn't done their due diligence around wards. Flash Wolves hadn't set themselves up to take the Drake. It seemed like it would be a clean G2 take. So stealing it there is pretty big in the grand story of this game.
That's one of the best feelings as a jungler. Plus the fact that he was able to get out afterwards, nullifying the Nico ultimate. Definitely a big moment for one of the guys on the teams that has received a lot of criticism over the tournament.
Yeah, he'd been playing a little bit weaker so far at MSI, and Flash Wolves maybe playing a bit below expectation, maybe to expectations. People did think they were going to be weaker with a lot of their players leaving to the LPL earlier this year, but hoping to keep up and with what they were doing in the golden ages before, when they would always make the semifinals and always at least impress a little bit, have some good group stage games. Looking to fight back now against G2, who have been one of the pre-tournament favorites, and results have shown them to be quite solid as well, and still in fighting distance here, as Jankos could be found out in his jungle.
All right, let's see if they go for it. Jankos a little bit low on health as well.
Boom! Finds a top, finds Ignite, flashing away to not get hit by the E, though. That is Merc Treads at work, getting just barely away.
That was, again, another flash from Shousey. So the flashes are actually traded here with the offensive Galio and the defensive Lee Sin.
Now, there's not a lot of Baron threat on top side, so Betty, with the control walls they have, actually looking to combo with Hanabi to find Wonder.
Realmore builds a bit of space as it's slow into Wonder. Might not have a way out. Gonna pop the ult. Does not even get it off in time. A shutdown comes through, and Betty on the board with his first.
Huge punish there from Flash Wolves, but now Perks.
Oh, they might have the damage. You go into this one. The ult's gonna almost land. Still finds some more poke. A good flag and gets away, but a turret goes down to the top side. The 1-3-1, the split push. They lost a kill, but they got a turret for it.
Yep, mid lane as well, gonna continue pushing here. Perks really pumping out the damage on that Ezreal without any kills or assists, has a 300 gold bounty because of the extra CS lead that he has.
Whoa, so aggressive, the flash! What a play out of Rather! Buys a bit of time, but still gets picked up now. Galio finds himself a ton. The burst damage comes through, Shousey on the board, and now the dunk. This is Flash Wolves coming alive, 7 kills to 3.
Flash Wolves bite back, and the Baron is available. Only Caps and Wonder, the solo lanes of G2, will have anything to say about it. Does he choose his moment?
Looking at Baron, 4 versus 2. This looks very good for Flash Wolves. Smite is up for Boogie. This could be the most important point of this game, fighting back from a 2,000 gold deficit. And the MVPs at G2, Caps and Wonder, must do the work.
There's no ultimate for Wonder, so this is going to be hard.
You're going to try the dunk going forward towards Hanabi. Really good damage towards the Rise, staying alive, finds Root, flashing back to the pit. All they do is make Oh no! The smite is early. A kill comes through as well. Make it a second. The solo laners do absolutely everything for G2.
Oh my god, Caps is able to get it. I saw 45 health on the Baron. All right, we'll go back to the pass.
Self-ult Flash was so big here. This is no missed sombrero. This was a badass play in mid lane, and Flashwell's cleanup was huge.
Such a huge outplay there. You know, 4 rather in the mid lane, but then once again at the Baron, that ultimate 43 health left. Caps is able to get it with the AoE, and then look how he survived with sub 3-digit HP. They finish off all of the kills in addition to stealing Baron. The solo laners of G2 just completely rewrite history for the last 5 minutes. That play turning in their favor.
And Caps' first reaction to turn to his jungler and say, this is how you do it. He comes out there, picks it up, and remember, it's a game of a tale of 2 steals. The Infernal steal that Flashwell's got to subvert, not even setting up for a team fight, but the second one for a 1-3-1 comp that wins in the side lanes to also have the Baron, that is usually a game ender.
That was actually ridiculous. It was an ultless Nico and Caps able to finish off all the kills, get the Baron for their team, and basically just take away that huge outplay that Rather had on Perks. That was his big moment. Flash Wolves trying to take control of the game, and G2 put a stop to it ever so quickly.
It's good that we had Raz and Dash take us through Silas. I don't remember the Baron steal point in their walkthrough, but it was pretty dead.
Now he's got a Lucian ult, puts it right back into Betty and says, I can also tag you. Doesn't look at the true shot barrage either, but push him off the wave for a little bit of time as the cannon keeps plugging away at that one. Top tier 2 already dead. G2 on 6 turret kills, and mid inhibitor already gone as well. Still a minute on this Baron buff, and the bot lane siege going pretty well as Nico is now putting on the side, and it's a bit of a 1-0-4. We're waiting to knock down yet another turret, and that's going to be number 7. Flashwells, by the way, yet to grab an objective that isn't a Drake here. They haven't pushed any of these turrets. It's been full court press the entire time, and G2 have not let up.
Yeah, honestly, that last play just blew the game open in favor of G2. Caps on Silas has been an absolute monster today. And now G2, with the Baron buff, will continue the siege. Mid inhibitor's already dead. Bottom inhibitor turret soon to follow.
Seems really likely here. Unless you want to burn Shockwave for some wave crew, they can still put the poke down. They still got the pair of cannons. And finally, they're going to back off enough that some spells can come in. There's the ultimate use. It's culling for Betty to try to stop the bleeding. This turret can regen a little bit slowly as mid gets pushed in to the XP is gained. Now Wonder gets some time as top falls to 75%, and G2 still with 23 seconds on this buff will push for one final turret if they can get it. Flash will sticking around, one more auto attack, and Perks will give some respect over. Drops to half, this could be the engage, but he gets some damage in. Nice Flash finds a knockup, Galio to follow, and the Flash misses! That could be 2 quick kills, and they will indeed get them that stopwatch. Probably not gonna keep him alive. There's the final kill coming in.
Meanwhile,
But look at the base. Now a dunk, look at a 2v1 for the solos as G2 gets back over the wall. Oh, just barely Hanabi stays alive, but no Nexus turrets will fall. Those kills give a bit of space for Flash Wolves as Captain Wonder still feels safe inside the opposing base.
Yep, they've been able to take the kills, but G2 have taken the base. 2 inhibitors down, 3 members. G2 actually still keeping up the pressure.
Realm up for disengage, not going to be stopped. Back towards the Raptors, take a little bit more gold. And G2 Esports, look at this, 7,000 gold ahead, and the base of their opponents in absolute shambles.
and the 2 kills definitely serve as band-aids for the wounds that we talked about that were inflicted by the Baron buff steal by G2, but you can see it doesn't really change the pressure. Yes, no further Nexus turrets will be taken now, but they can rinse, repeat, and if those ults don't hit as well as they did last time, G2 know they can continue to push down these base objectives.
They're certainly well equipped to continue to push out both sides here. Super minions are flooding down the map towards the Flash Wolves base, and G2 soon to follow.
And quick pickups of the Raptors as G2 are ready to keep going back out on the map. 80 seconds until Baron spawns. If they want, they can be defensive and wait and just make sure the vision comes down and take Baron number 2 as their way to win the game. This one maybe earned a bit more earnestly, a bit more of a normal way, but they can keep going for the aggression instead. And we look down to the bottom side as Tom Kench brings a friend as well, as Wonder is here to help this one out, and Hanabi doesn't really have much of a place to go. You've got 4 down there. Wonder grabs the kill, a spree for him. 4-2-2 as G2 look to close it out before the Baron even spawns.
Yeah, I don't think Baron will be on the menu today. G2 are going straight for the victory. Bottom lane is the only inhibitor left standing, and that's where they'll start.
47 seconds in the major objective, but the Nexus is in their eyes. The inhibitor going to be picked up, no problem there. 30 seconds on Rise, and a 4 versus 5 defense might be required as they walk away from the possible taunt flash. Make sure that one's still safe, but they can keep on moving forwards now. One turret a bit healthy, one at full HP, but they're also pushing in, waiting for their waves to come in.
And waves are pretty far, 20 seconds, so Hanabi should actually respawn before multiple minion waves crash.
They've got Cataclysm, though it might just be that inside the base. No damage to the True Shot Barrage, but still putting in shots towards that turret. One more auto, there it goes. Another one left alive, but now watch out for Wonder. Not taunted, not knocked up either. Redemption buys a bit of space. Caps dives in, but he's gonna be knocked down as well. So one kill picked up and a flash away from the Pop Blossom. Keeps the rest of Flash Wolves alive. Looking at a second kill, but nice save by Mickey X. Brings Wonder back out of safety. Here comes Realm Warp, though. Looking for a possible re-engage. Lee Sin's gonna land the Q, but not gonna go in for any much more of this one. 4v5 inside the base. Flash Wolves need to find a way to defend this one and kick back. Getting Orianna out of stopwatch, buys a few more seconds, but Jankos certain to be taunted until he can flash away. Safeguards back to his teammate, and they're gonna stay alive now as well. G2 still navigating the 4v5. Mickey X a bit low, but that shield is not going to get him much of anything. The gray health won't be any HP back in the pool. Still sieging though. 4v5, G2 not going to be stopped. Hanabi at about 3 HP has to walk away from minion aggro, and the Orianna actually drops down to all the poke. Nice damage out of Nico, and the siege continues. G2 will not be pushed off of their opponents. Going for a 30-minute victory right here. Looking at 3-1 on the score line as a bit of minor wave clears with all that Flash Wolves can do. Still waiting around that last little bit of effort. Another kill coming in for them. Looking at a couple more points in the KDA as Betty has to kite back in. One kill in for the Rise. Look out for the Nexus, but still some damage coming through. And finally, G2 might just be pushed off the base. A shield, a runaway for Lee Sin. Out they go. Flash Wolves will breathe one sigh of relief, but there is only a single building left inside their base.
A sigh of relief, a gasp, that's about all you can do. They just about bought enough time to get a full reset. As you get closer and closer to the Nexus, you have to group up, and that's where the teamfight comp can try to use their tools. But you could see how impervious G2 were. They have so much sustain and poke that their health bars were dying before they got in range of G2's 4 men.
Yeah, G2 going for the fancy plays at the end, trying to get the extra kills rather than focus on the objectives. And Baron may be back on the menu, Freak, so you may get one more purple buff.
Right,
all the super minions are coming down, and G2 will still have control of the map, so it should be an easy choice for them.
This time G2 grabbed their Infernal. No enemy jungler around to steal it away, and this time Baron, no one anywhere near them on the map. Flash Wolves the other side of this one. And even Tom Kenchkala says this one doesn't really matter what happens in. There's the pickup. Yanko doesn't need to burn the spike and save it for later. And this is a huge lead for the squad right now as G2 can push in that final little bit of the base.
And your question when you're watching these replays is always, could they have just clicked on the Nexus and ended the game realistically? And that's always something deep in the back of your mind. Wonder definitely missed a couple autos onto the Nexus here, but I think overall, there was enough staying power with Hanabi fighting at the bottom side of the screen in order to keep this game going just a little longer.
All right, well, the time has come. Baron empowered G2. One inhibitor has respawned for the Flash Wolves. Can they rally around that respawn? Because it won't last very long.
It's going to be difficult to wait for this one. The minions nearly impervious to champion damage. Inhibitor knocked down for the 5th time into this, and now one final push. There's the inhibitor engage, flashing into the back line, looking for a kill, and it's going to be the shutdown. 1 for 0 already. Make it a second one, make it a third. G2 just walking over Flash Wolves. You knew it had to happen. They find the ace. The Nexus right in front of them in G2, 3-1 to close out day 2.
Wonder the backline assassin there on the Nico to clean up the Lucian first, and from there the hearts and the backs of Flash Wolves were broken. This one was all about those 2 steals. The Infernal really gave extra life into the team fight wombo combo comp that Flash Wolves have drafted, but a 43 health Baron stolen away by that Cap Silas. Don't know how many more Silas picks he'll get over the course of MSI 2019.
This game had some great moments for both teams.
Yeah.
G2 executing very well early. Jankos on star display here, setting up the solo laners, which is just what they needed for their 1-3 run. Then able to execute it for the majority of the early game until Flash Wolves found their spectacular team fight, rather with the